should make a video.
Hey brothers, welcome to my messy room. I need to clean it and organize it. This is mostly in response to Gavin's video. There's some personal stuff in it, but there's nothing... I'm not asking any new questions. So, it's a response video. Shooting from the hip stuff from Gavin. First, heard over Thanksgiving about what's been going on with Connor and his folk. That's real rough. It's real rough. Getting to how I've dealt with hard times in the past. Let's see. Got to pick a hard time. To be clear, my life has not been hard. There have been a lot of ways that it has been a lot smoother than it could have been in a number of ways. Like, the easiest stuff to mention is like, I'm white, I'm a guy, I'm heterosexual, I'm Christian. This sort of puts me in like what everybody assumes is the default for an American. And so I don't have to like stand up and say, no, that doesn't apply to me as much, like things like that, or have to prove that I'm a real American or a real whatever, or that I'm, not a criminal element from some other neighborhood come to cause a ruckus in this neighborhood or something just because of what I look or act like. So yeah, my life not so hard. That said, I have had some rough time. I keep hitting record and then stop and then accidentally clicking cancel instead of save, and I'm not sure if I'm losing a lot of recorded stuff. Good news, I lost a lot of recorded stuff. Right, so redoing things because things got lost. I didn't get any details of my own personal experiences because that's harder. Big themes, be honest and direct about it. Own it. If you're feeling stuff, you're always going to feel stuff. It's normal. It's human. It's reasonable. It may not be rational, but humans are not fully rational creatures. So, in context of being at a party with a date, probably explain, hey, I'm going through some things. I'm been trying to be a good date to you so far, but it's getting harder and harder, and I fear that I'm going to become a worse and worse date for you. So I'm going to have to leave. I'm sorry. If there's anything I can do to, introduce you to somebody else who can make sure that you're having a good time, or if I can make sure you get a ride home or anything like that, let me know. I'd love to make sure that gets taken care of. And I'm sorry about this whole situation, but I think I need to admit what I'm feeling. Honestly, I'd be a little worried in that situation, especially if it's a Greek party, that somebody's open emotional honesty could be interpreted by another person as a sort of opening for, they're vulnerable and therefore we can make out or go beyond that, or maybe I can get them drunk or whatever. Because I've been to some bad parties in my time. In terms of classes and how I've dealt with big emotional stuff regarding classes, I've generally been upfront with my teachers. I've learned to be better about that. They're usually pretty understanding. Side note, did you say that you have a psych teacher? Because you didn't mention that psych was a class. I don't actually know what your schedule is or what any of your classes are. I'm gathering that there's at least one history class, maybe two. Though both those papers seem to be around the same thing, so I'm guessing maybe the same class. And then there's chemistry, and maybe psych? Maybe? I don't know. But, so classes. Especially with the more reading kind of classes, teachers generally have more leeway. Not as much towards the end of the semester. But they might let you turn something in a little late or something along those lines. Also, from junior high, middle school onward, I made elections, because electives get it, in favor of offering creative outlets. So maybe I was feeling depressed or angry or something through being playing the drums, or drawing and painting, or writing, or even reading poetry could be good for this. I could sort of sometimes don't wallow, but fully sort of feel whatever the emotion was, and sort of swim around it, get to understand the real nature of what I'm feeling, figure out where the sort of emotional bruises are, like what hurts if you poke at it, and maybe it's more of a sore muscle thing, like actually sort of a gentle massage that makes it better, or maybe touching it makes it worse. Sort of learning that stuff about how you're feeling, so that you can treat yourself well as you're getting through it. Because generally speaking, the emotion's just going to stick around as long as the emotion sticks around, and it's more about respecting that process, I think. Like, I had a thing where when I went through a breakup, I would like, there were things I just would not shave until I was ready to start moving beyond the emotional weight of the breakup, for example. Sometimes some breakups were longer than others. That doesn't necessarily mean that the breakup was easier. Sometimes it was more of a hard, sharp, quick out of it kind of thing. Sometimes like I remember when Grandpa Hansen died, and it's not a breakup, but it didn't really hit me for at least a couple of weeks. Yeah, that was a tough one. I wrote poems about it. So find creative outlets. That probably would be helpful. Rambly. Other notes. The 90s. So you missed a lot of the 90s, or a lot of the sort of youth culture of the 90s, especially as they came in, and I was just barely old enough to really pay attention or notice what was going on. There was this very strong sense of pushing back against a lot of sort of mainstream kids enjoying themselves expectations, in terms of how you act, how to act in sort of polite society, and the big theme was questioning the BS, I guess. A lot of eye rolling at authority figures, and so coming from that background of grunge and assorted movementy things, it's actually kind of fun to see you playing kind of that role. I know that you have played that role in the past, but I've generally not been there to see it. So I think when the sort of cynical, angsty, lip curl kind of thing comes out, I enjoy that. I'm sorry. I'm enjoying your angst. I'm at 8.5 minutes now, before editing, so I don't really have much more time to say things. There was a time when I was young and I thought that emotions were weak, basically. That I was smart enough to think my way out of emotions or around emotions, rather than dealing with them. A sort of core concept of that is that sort of humans should be rational creatures because we have these magnificent brains, but that there was this sort of feeling I had that I should disassociate with the emotional side because that was undependable, and weak, and that was wrong with me. I think I started getting past that somewhere towards the end of grade school. I could go deeper, might hurt people. Yeah, it led to sort of panic attacky, depressive stuff and hating parents and stuff in grade school. Blah, blah, blah. I drew pictures about it. I drew one picture of Bucky Badger with a Michigan logo on his chest, and he was smoking a joint because I was mad at Dad. But and this isn't an event. Maybe this is why it hasn't come up. I still get this to this day. but especially, and it comes in waves, for usually a couple of weeks at a time, maybe sometimes more, like a couple months, ebbs and flows, where I get, not necessarily tired is sort of the tail end of it, but hard to motivate myself to get past sort of just grumbling at everything. That can get darker, not very productive. The important thing is for me to feel when that's coming on. Some times of the year are more common than others, like as fall starts to hit, especially when sunlight schedules start to match up such that I'm not seeing the sun anymore. I counter that, well, I mean, there's chemical response, like if you're missing vitamin D, get more vitamin D, drink a lot of milk. One story, I was in a really grumpy mood on a road trip. I was in Manhattan. I was with a bunch of guys. I made them stop in the middle of a block so I could go into a little bodega drugstore thing. I grabbed a quart of vitamin D enriched whole milk, pounded it as I was leaving the store, so I was finished on the sidewalk, and said, "All right, we're good to go," and was in fact almost within minutes in a much better mood. So sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes coffee helps. Sometimes just getting more sunlight, getting more active helps. But so it's you learn to feel when it's coming on. You tell people around you who are close to you so that they're better prepared to help you through that, or they're prepared to lower their expectations for you for a while. I've set myself up a morning music playlist that is positive messages, upbeat tunes, things I like to sing along with. Nothing too morose. Like I have a weakness for singing along with some of these like self-pity bands like Matchbox 20, but that tends to put me in a really dark place. Like, a lot of Real Big Fish songs, despite what they sound like, are often really kind of low lyrically. When I was busy drinking myself half to death in Spain, I listened to a lot of Matchbox 20, Real Big Fish. Did not help. Don't do that. Again, with it, don't feel it, but don't wallow in it. Right, this has gone on way too long, so I have to stop here. It sounds like you're doing a decent job paying attention to what's going on, and working with your friends and stuff about it. Good luck. Be praying for you. I do pray for everybody in the family, FYI. Hey Kyle, make a video. What's going on?